Hi, I'm Holly and I'm an arborist.
Thanks for joining me, Holly, on Life of a Female Tradie podcast. It's great to have someone from your background, from your role, come on the show. It's really different. So, looking forward to getting stuck into it. Can you tell the listeners what your background is? Where did everything start for you?
So for me, I used to work in a garden centre like when I was really young. That was my first job, and we had some tree surgeons who would like tip their wood chip and everything at the yard where the garden centre was and stuff. And the guy who owned the garden centre kept cutting my hours back and cutting my hours back, and I was like literally making next to nothing. I was riding my bike to the garden centre, like a half-hour's bike ride, literally to do like an hour's work for like £5 an hour. It was totally like useless.
Oh,
And
bless you.
anyway, I said to these tree surgeons, like, oh, if you ever need an extra set of hands, like, you know what I mean? I've got all this free time coming up. And anyway, they were like, yeah. Didn't really like sort of expect that sort of thing. I used to help the guy out, like cutting the trees back, like I'd drag some brash for him and stuff and that sort of thing. And then he was like, yeah, no, that would be good. So that whole summer, like I worked for them. Well, the day after that, they dropped a high vis off at my work. And the day after that, I was being picked up and off we went. And the rest is history, really, on that one.
Wow.
Now I worked for them for that whole summer, and then for 2-3 years after that, I did my apprenticeship through that guy as well. So yeah,
Oh,
it was just like a sort of in the right place at the right time thing.
yeah, it sounds it. And how old were you when you started that summer with the tree company?
Well, I was 14 when I started at the garden centres. I think I was about 15 when I started doing the tree work or something. But yeah, it was
Wow.
just cool. It was totally random, I think, because the sort of like it was more like, oh, we'll just take a chance, but we don't really know what
Yeah.
she's going to be like and that sort of thing. And anyway, they had some of the lads working for them and stuff, and they basically just said like they're getting rid of all the lads and I'm going to stay on like full time and stuff. And that felt like a really nice like thing of like, oh, I'm that important like that. They can get rid of all the other people who work for them, like just sort of people who go for like a day here and there. And they were like, well, I couldn't turn up every day, you know what I mean? So they took me on instead.
Amazing. That's so cool. What an awesome opportunity that they well, not gave you. I mean, it sounds like you earned it.
Yeah, I think there seems to be like a bit of a you might find it as well with the people that you interview is like there's this thing of like you must go into it because it was your dad or your family or whatever. Even when I was on the job, I mean, obviously I was quite young. I understand where the assumption came from, but the guy who I was working for was like in his 60s, you know what I mean? So,
Okay.
50s, 60s. So he literally was like my dad's age, and everyone was like, oh, is that your daughter? All the time. And it does get a little bit annoying because you're like, no, like I kind of earned this place, you know what I mean? Not like was just given it by
Yeah,
default. But I think it's nice to prove people wrong. That's probably the most exciting part about my job is proving people's like assumptions wrong.
absolutely. Fair play. Yeah, definitely. And so you went from that into an apprenticeship.
I worked for them for about a year before I started my apprenticeship, because I was actually still in school, and then from school
Yeah.
went to my apprenticeship, like did arboriculture apprenticeship and got all my tickets. So all my tickets being like my chainsaw tickets, my wood chipper, like qualifications. We just
Yeah.
call it tickets. I don't know what everyone else calls their qualifications, but I got all those, and I was like far more qualified than anybody else around me because the apprenticeship gave me it all, and I got like a distinction, which was like the highest thing. And there was a lot of pressure because there was a girl in the year who just left before me. I'd never met her. I still haven't met. I met one female tree surgeon bar me, but I've heard of this girl and she got distinctions and stuff. So
Wow.
the whole way through, it was like, oh, the girl in the year above got all this like passed with flying colours and whatnot. And it was very much like, I'm going to have to pull something out of the bag here, otherwise I'm going to be like a disappointment. Anyway, luckily I did pass with distinctions and everything, and that was really good. It was like it was such a good time as well. It was just 1 day a week in college, and then the rest was just like work placement, but working with the guy who it all started with, really.
Wow. Okay. And whereabouts in the country did you do that? Where are you?
So I'm like in the northeast. I'm in, well, like sort of the bit between North Yorkshire and like Teesside. I'm
Okay.
from Teesside, but we live in like the very cusp of North Yorkshire at the moment.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I feel like that sort of apprenticeship would be almost non-existent around where I live, like in the Midlands,
Oh,
because
you're in the Midlands.
I
It's
am in
really
the
flat,
Midlands.
isn't it?
Yeah.
There's like not really much going on. My friend's from the Midlands, and she's like, I don't know, you wouldn't be able to work down here. And I was like, oh right, okay. Yeah. So there's actually two agriculture. Well, it's an agricultural college I did it through.
Right.
There's one in Durham, which is still like, well, it was an hour bus every day over to Durham,
Wow.
or the other way is there's Askham Bryant in York, which is an hour on the train that way. So
Oh,
either way, it was an hour either way. So I just went to Durham because I knew the area a bit better and stuff. I don't really know York, and I don't really like trains, and the bus was free, so it was sort of a no-brainer.
absolutely. Yeah.
So that worked out well.
Cool. And how long was your apprenticeship?
It was just shy of 2 years. It was supposed to be 2 years, but we all did the coursework super quick. It was only like 6 of us on my course, all lads, and there was like a real range. There was me and one other lad that was like a school leaver, and
Mhm.
the other lad who was a school leaver dropped out. So there was just me in the end who was a school leaver. Everyone else was like mid-20s. There was like a 40-odd-year-old guy doing it as well.
Oh,
There was like,
wow.
what I mean is it wasn't all school leavers. I was told that
Yeah.
Askham Bright, the one in York, was all school leavers, whereas ours was like a big mix. But I really enjoyed it like that because I felt like the guy became like a tree like officer for the council and stuff. There was loads of council lads on. I was, I think, the only domestic person there in the end. Like
Okay.
I do domestic tree work. Everyone else did like council tree work, and it was really good crack. They all were like really. I was really nervous going into the apprenticeship, thinking, "Oh my god!" Like I sort of knew I'd be the only girl, and I was really like getting a bit like, "Oh god, people will
Yeah.
pick on me or something." I don't know. I
Oh,
was really really nervous, but anyway, they were like the best. We went out for drinks and stuff like last year, and it was just. They're just a really good group of people. It's a shame we're all so spread out because we're all about an hour away from the college, but
oh,
like
really?
further north and further, you know what I mean? We were all really far away from each other. So actually to meet up was really difficult. We used to have to meet up in Durham or Newcastle just because we were all so far spread. But they're a really, really good group of people.
It's great that you say that the age range was really different, and it sounds like a lot of people are exploring the retraining aspect a little bit after school leaving age, because it's very rare that people know what they want to do when they leave school, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it,
Well, I wanted to be an actress, so I didn't I didn't pick the right I
yeah,
didn't do the right thing anyway. I ended up with tree work, but anyway, it suits me down on the ground now, so
amazing, amazing. How did you within your apprenticeship, did you learn how to climb and stuff like that, or was that a hobby that you had aside of the whole tree apprenticeship?
I literally had like no hobbies aside from the tree apprenticeship. Like when I was in school, I would finish school at like we had an early finishing time of 2:30, and then I'd literally go home, get changed. 2:45, they'd pick me up, and I'd go to work till about 6 or something.
Oh,
Like so,
wow.
I literally was constantly full on, and that was in my last year, so I was doing my GCSEs and stuff around the same time. And I
Ah.
just like my parents could not keep me in the house to I was really good in school, like I did really well and got A's across the board and stuff, but I still all I wanted to do was tree work, and I knew I had to get good grades to sort of like not put like a downer or like a shadow over the fact that I wanted to do tree work. So anyway, yeah, I did that, and yeah, I didn't really have any sort of like climbing thing, but because I worked for them a year before I did my apprenticeship, I'd practiced climbing and stuff on the
Okay.
job with them.
Yeah.
But I didn't have like my qualification. I did get my qualifications through college. I also got like working from a cherry picker and
Oh.
climbing with a chainsaw from a rope and harness. Like even like forestry first aid and stuff. There's some really cool things. Even street work, so I could like shut a road down if I wanted to. Not like I want
Oh.
to, but if I wanted to, I could.
Wow. Yeah, sounds like there's so much involved in your role. Having obviously first aid, like you just mentioned, that to me, now you've mentioned it, is a no-brainer because it looks like a very dangerous job to have with the chainsaw dangling from your hip and things like that when you're climbing and everything. Have you had any close calls whilst you've been up trees and
Yeah, so I know people who have had really close calls, much worse than me. But I was up a tree like was it 2 years ago or something. It was actually like a really simple job, and we weren't high up, we weren't anything. And it usually is those sort of jobs that you end up doing something wrong. It was something that's like textbook, you know what I mean? Yeah, we were just like doing loads of little cuts, and it was kind of boring. And like once it's kind of boring, you're not locked in anymore, and you really have got to be careful. And I never wear gloves. This is like, I hate wearing gloves. I'll only wear gloves if it's like cold, you know what I mean?
okay?
Like to warm my hands up. That's my, all gloves seem to be really big and everything like that. And it was this that caused my close calls. So I had gloves on this day. And since that day, I do not wear gloves. And they were like mediums, and I've got really quite small hands. So the tips of the fingers came out like to about here. And I'm
Okay.
using the like a top handle doesn't have like a back part. It's so when you climb and it's a bit easier to use and stuff. And I was using the top handle, and I had like the top handle here, and I was holding the back part of it because I was like really far stretched out to balance the weight, which you should not do. And I know you should not do this. And anyway, my glove got sucked into the chain like underneath, and took the top of my glove and the tip of my finger off with it. Luckily, it was an electric top handle, so it literally, as soon as I let go of the trigger, it stopped. But had it have
Okay.
been like a petrol or something, it would have like potentially ran on for a little bit
Oh
longer.
my goodness.
So it was really lucky. It was one of those you can't like really quite see, but the nails grown back now, but there's like a
Ooh,
point where it like dips in where the
yeah.
nail it took a while to grow back. Oh, I've got some horrendous
Oh my
photos that I won't
goodness.
share, but um yeah, it was like one of those close calls where it was like a lesson close call. Didn't really like cause too much injury or whatever. But anyway, I carried on working. Harry was like, "Oh, do you want to go to A&E or anything?" And I was like, "Oh, don't be daft." He was like, he do all the first aid stuff and everything like that. And he was like trying to fumble around with the first aid kit. I said, "What are you doing? Like, just pass it here." And I was like bandaging me finger up, and then I just went back to work. And yeah, we were only around the corner from my house as well, so I could have literally just went home. But I was like, "Nah, just keep going." I think it's the best thing. If you get too much fear, well, fear is a good thing, but if you get too much fear, you won't go back to do it. You know what I mean? I think you've got to go
Yeah,
back that second, otherwise you'll like psych yourself out.
definitely. It's like they say, well, if you fall off a horse, you should get straight back on,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
It's that.
Honestly really is that. It's like you could freak yourself out forever, like
Yeah.
over little things. If you're on spikes in a tree, there's like a really common thing where you can like gaff out and like your legs slip and you fall like into the tree and it hurts like hell.
Ooh,
And I've had like grazes up and down my arms from doing that. And if you don't continue to climb, then you really put yourself off for like a long time, and then it becomes like more of a mental hurdle. And I think you
yeah.
really just got to get over it and just keep going.
Definitely, definitely. It sounds like your finger injury was actually the gloves that let you down. It wasn't
Yeah,
necessarily you, it was the blooming gloves. So
yeah. Well, it
just
still
goes to
taught me a good
show.
lesson. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We need
I
women's fitting PPE,
Yeah. I
small
had a
hands.
argument to hell when I was in college because to do your chainsaw course, you need chainsaw protective gloves on, and I said, "But I can't feel like I can't feel anything because they got me
Yeah.
quite small gloves. But when you've got smaller gloves, there's less bend than if you've got larger hands and bigger gloves."
Yep.
So I said it's more dangerous me having these on. And anyway, I got into a big debate, and my college lecturer basically said if it's more dangerous for you to have them on than you need to take them off. But anyway, I won that one.
Good for you. Yes. Wow. Wow. I don't know whether it's a big thing within your trade, the whole women's fitting PPE. I know it is for a lot of other trades, how ill-fitting it is and how hard it is to find good
Yeah.
quality workwear. Obviously, with the trades and the craft trades being predominantly a male environment, how have you found that? Have you found it easy to navigate, or have you had some sticky situations?
Mainly with the workwear and stuff.
With the workwear and also being surrounded predominantly by men.
Yeah, so workwear first, I find like really, really hard to get. Like chainsaw trousers. You can buy women's chainsaw trousers, but
Okay.
they're actually worse than men's chainsaw trousers
Don't.
in a lot of cases. So you're probably just better off wearing men's chainsaw trousers. But you always find like I bought some a while ago, and they're not cheap. They're like 300 quid a pair. Like
Yeah.
so you need to try them on or something beforehand, otherwise you've wasted like lots of money, you know what I mean? And like I always find either the calves are too tight or the top's too loose. The waist never fits. You can
No.
just guarantee it's not going to fit. I can promise you that. Like I've had to always have belts, and then the belts have to be like special belts that don't have buckles, because otherwise, if you've got buckles, they still don't fit. So
Yep.
it's like a whole thing. I don't even. Yeah, it's a nightmare. Trying to find women's chainsaw boots is the hardest thing in the world. We had to go to Hexham, which is about 2 hours away from me, to find. There's a great place in Hexham. I'm not paid to promote them or anything, but Dixon's, they stock women's sizes, and they do three onwards in women's
wow.
chainsaw boots, but nowhere else does. You've got to either order them in or whatever. So that took like a whole day. That was for my birthday. We went on a hunt for women's chainsaw boots.
Nice.
That's literally what we did for my birthday a couple of years ago. And yeah, and we found some, but it's so hard to find. And then when you do find them, it's sort of the same thing I was saying with the gloves. I've got size 5, quite small feet, but still, it's not that small in the
Not
grand scheme
really.
of things.
No.
And you can't, for the life of you, bend your feet in the chainsaw boots. Like the guys struggle, but like there's no bend at all in mine. Like you grab them and it's like nothing.
Okay.
But sort of on a more general note of like working in a male-dominated field is I find actually all the people I've worked with are smashing. It depends what sort of group you get into, and I understand probably not everyone has the same like lucky experience, but in tree work it is like a huge community. I'm sure trades are all the same, you know. We really like look after each other in tree work. I think because we all know how risky it is, we're all just like living for the day sort of thing. So we all just get on, and there's mad respect for women in this sort of industry and stuff. But my worst like experiences I've had with being in this field is always from customers. Always. The guy I worked for, like my old boss called Chainsaw Harry, he was just an absolute legend. He's like my dad. He's class. He's always looking out for me. Whenever there's creepy customers or anything, he always either literally flat out does not work for them anymore, which is mint. I work for myself now, but it was always like felt really good that like he was sort of saying no to it, and he would even deny work to make me feel a bit more comfortable, you know. But I've had customers like doing love hearts at me and stuff, customers saying that like they chopped my arm off if they were working with me and stuff, like looking at me like really creepy, like
that's really weird.
Just really creepy stuff. Oh god, like I could tell you a million stories. They're all incredibly creepy. But yeah, they always like look out for me. I've never had an issue with another tree person. Like it's just always customers that are nightmares.
God. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we've all got a few stories about customers that aren't quite the most friendliest or the most accepting, or you know.
Usually it's that they're too friendly, I find.
Or that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. What aspects of your job do you enjoy the most? Because to me it blows my mind. It looks just so fun and obviously risky. But yeah, what do you enjoy most about it?
Well, it's like when you're young, everyone wants to climb trees. Well, I mean, I did anyway.
I did,
You
yeah.
sort of have this thing of like, like I want to climb trees, and I just do it for a job, which I think is absolutely mental. I get paid to do what I enjoy. I'm very, very lucky on that like aspect of things. Yeah, but I just find you can either do felling or climbing or like dismantling or rigging. There's like loads of different things to do. And I think that is what I enjoy, not like the same job every single day. It's a new garden, it's new people, it's a new job. Even if it's not particularly enjoyable one day, the next day is different. So it's okay. I really enjoy climbing. I really enjoy full removals. But
Okay.
at the same time, I quite enjoy even just hedge cutting and things. There's a big debate on whether hedge cutting is even, it's sort of like looked down upon really, but I really like it. It's satisfying as hell. Like you get a nice hedge and it's nice and clean and it looks really good and the customers are really happy, and or like sort of hedge that's got like really out of hand and needs some serious like 20 foot taken off it or whatever. That is like so exciting. Or big like so like when you do like rigging, you've got like loads of ropes controlling stuff down, and if you have to think about it, like if you're in charge of thinking how to do it and everything, and it like is executed and it all works out, and I don't know, the conservatory doesn't get smashed or anything, it's really exciting, and it's a great feeling of like, oh, like great, like what I just did just controlled all that. I don't know. It's a great job. I like everything about it really, apart from like maybe thorny things. That's about it.
Amazing. And you've mentioned that you're now self-employed. How long have you been self-employed now?
So I tried to sort of go on my own, like I suppose like 20 and back end of 2024, and then like I went away for like 9 months. I went traveling for 9 months.
Yeah.
So I might as well just call that like a like a start over. You know what I mean? I don't even think I made enough to even register like paying tax or anything like that. It was like totally hobby money. And then anyway, we went away for 9 months. We found a dog while we were over there, and we got
Yes.
engaged, and it was like a whole thing. And then when we came back, it was sort of August, September. We also were building a new camper at the same time. So basically, officially self-employed from like August, September this year. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But I always had like little. I had a gardening round for a while, like last year, and that's not last year, sorry, year before. My years are all mixed
That's
up.
all right.
I
Yeah,
keep
mine
thinking
do
it's
that.
2025.
Same.
But yeah, I had a gardening round that got me loads of like sort of lifelong customers for tree work.
Oh,
I passed on
nice.
my gardening round when I went away, but I still get calls for tree work from them and stuff, and hedges and that sort of thing. I've got an old lady who's like literally like, she's like a grandma or a great aunt or something. She's class. We go around. She's got this little chihuahua who's like
Oh,
mental, but it's actually a class little chihuahua. Like, and I'm not a huge fan of them. And yeah, and she's comes round. We have out some food with her and stuff. We don't even always do work for her. We charge her
oh,
next to nothing for anything we do, like, or literally nothing if we do
yeah.
something quite small and stuff. And yeah, we literally go around to talk to her more than anything else. It's more just like a social call. I walk a dog for her as well when we go around, and I think it's that those sort of like connections that really make it like you're not really doing it for the money. You're sort of just doing it to be there for people. I prefer that. If I could work for free and everything was free and I didn't have to pay for like food and stuff, it would be like, it would be great. I'd be in my element. I'd still work even if everything was free.
It's really nice when you can connect with customers like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makes it a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
Okay. There was a few points that you mentioned there, and I am going to come back to them. There's one thing that I like to ask my guests about, just to see where everybody sits, and it's related to health. Obviously, we're all doing manual jobs, which the world sees as jobs that were created for men to do. Now we're stepping in and showing what we can do. How do you try and stay healthy? Is there anything particular that you do or don't do? I know that something I chose when I went self-employed, I stopped drinking. So is there anything that you do particularly?
Yeah, I don't drink either. I haven't
Oh,
drank for like a year and a bit, maybe a little bit longer than that. I just think there's such a culture around getting a pint at the end of the day or something like that. And honestly, like we used to do it like for like a very long time, and then it just seems so casual that you don't see it as so impacting on your health.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I'll have a shandy, not like a pint, you know what I mean? Then I was like, I'll just have a lemonade, you know what I mean? And you can still enjoy going out. It's still nice. You still catch up. You still unwind and everything. It doesn't have to be like a like a piss up or anything like
No,
that. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
you're right.
It can be really like it can still be enjoyable at the end of the day. I totally no hate to anyone who does need a
No.
pint after work or anything. I think you are what you are, and like you do whatever you need to do. But like since we got the dog and stuff, I just like having a walk after work, and that's like my unwind. I don't do anything particularly like crazy health nut. I'm going to be really real there. I have been vegetarian since I was like 11, and then
Okay.
vegan since I was like 13. So I don't eat any animal products or anything now. But that isn't particularly like a health thing, although
Yeah.
I have noticed like a lot of health like improvement and stuff. My partner actually went pescatarian when he started seeing me and stuff, because I used to just cook like vegan food, and then I wouldn't like refuse to cook meat or anything like that, but you make a meal and you just eat it, don't you? And he's a terrible cook, so it works out well. So yeah, he went pescatarian and he noticed loads of like good health benefits and stuff.
Okay. I mean, I was actually pescatarian myself for about 8 years, I think.
All right. What
Yeah.
made you change? I'm always curious to know what makes people.
Funnily enough, it was my partner at the time. It wasn't so much that she pressured me into it or anything like that. It was more she opened my eyes to animal cruelty and things like that, and how
Yeah,
animals are treated prior to production, if we're going to call it that.
yeah,
And yeah, I just didn't like it. So I chose to be pescatarian because at the time it was very difficult to find a lot
yeah,
of vegan products.
yeah.
Um, I still don't drink cow's milk. I don't eat eggs. Can't eat chicken, and I can't eat pork. For the last couple of years, I have had to reintroduce red meat to my diet, just simply because I had low blood count.
Hmm.
So the doctor says I need to start reintroducing it, which was difficult. It was very
Yeah,
difficult. So yeah, I can totally appreciate your choices there. It is something, it's just it can be a lifestyle choice that's driven by ethics, can
yeah.
be a lifestyle choice driven by the health aspects. It's just one of those things, isn't it?
Yeah, I think for me it was a lot more like of a moral thing,
Yeah.
but for my partner, so he started like cutting back his meat and stuff, and then he was like, I feel better, like I feel way
Okay.
better. When he started seeing me, he stopped. He used to drink quite a lot of like beer and stuff, and he stopped really drinking beer, like maybe occasional one or whatever. But because I wasn't doing it, he was like, "Oh well, I'm not that bothered." So he
Yeah.
stopped drinking and stopped eating meat. It was interesting to watch because I'd been doing sort of all this quite a steady, like over the course of my life thing. I didn't really notice too much of obvious change,
Yeah.
whereas he straight away he'd like lost loads of weight, but in a healthy way, not in
Yeah.
like a you know what I mean. And even like if you get a Mackie D's or whatever, I'm partial to McDonald's, I'm not gonna lie, but like you can get veggie options and they do feel a little bit healthier.
Yeah.
Like I get the veggie spicy wrap, and it always like
Oh,
feels like it's a little bit healthier than maybe some other things.
yeah.
It's got lettuce, so that's got to be a good
There you
start.
go. It's got something green in it, you're
Yeah,
winning.
yeah. But all my family, like on my mum's side, it's all got low iron anyway. So,
All right.
like, without being vegetarian, I probably would have had like low iron, and I do have a bit of low iron. But I just take iron supplements, and vitamin C helps absorb iron as well. So
Yep.
if you take vitamin C and iron, then you sort of like double up your iron absorption. Like I heard anyway. So yeah, I do that. I eat a lot of like I hated broccoli growing up, and I found like the best way to do broccoli ever in the world.
Tell me, because I love broccoli. Go on,
I'll
tell
tell
me.
you, don't worry. So I hate like mushy broccoli.
Yeah.
Like overboiled, like just
Oh,
falls to. I hate it, and it's plain, it's flavorless. I don't like it. But I've been making broccoli. I do like a little bit of garlic in a pan, and then maybe like if I have it in like a bit of onion in the pan, and then fry the broccoli. Don't cook it at all, just straight from raw. Fry the broccoli in like olive oil,
okay.
and then I get some like Chinese salt and pepper seasoning stuff
Ooh.
over the top, and a bit of soy sauce, and then a little bit of water to like dilute the soy sauce a bit. Put a lid over it for like just a couple of minutes, not enough to cook the broccoli, and then have it. And oh my god, it's like the most delicious thing in the world.
Wow.
It's like Chinese broccoli.
That's what I'm having for dinner tonight.
I just have bowlfuls. I'm not even joking here. Like I did like 2 heads of broccoli the other
Did
day,
you?
and I just ate. And it sounds healthy, and I drizzle it in oil. Like I'm not somebody who will like scrimp on like oil or anything like that. And honestly, the more oil you do, the nicer it is, and
Gotcha.
just get it nice and brown. And God, I
Ooh.
could do with some right now. It makes
Yeah.
me hungry, to be honest.
I think it's nearly lunchtime.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that. I noticed that slightly veering off the food topic now because
Sorry.
I'm hungry. So
Yeah.
let's move on. I noticed earlier this year that you got named an ambassador for a brand, didn't you?
Yeah. So when I came back off our trip away, I started an Instagram, which was like just sort of, I had an Instagram the whole time we were away and had a pitiful amount of followers. And then I thought I'll start a works one because like work's going to be like my whole life until we go away again. You know what I mean? It's going to be like full on, and I knew that. And I thought how to make it like I sort of wanted to like the idea of making it was to sort of show that like women could do this and stuff. You know what I mean? As like it's a hard work. You know what I mean? Like it is
Yeah.
hard work, but I wanted to prove that you know you can do it. You maybe inspire. I know it's like a bit of a
No.
cringy, but I did want to like inspire maybe younger girls to see that like this is an option, you know, because I didn't really think anything like this was an option until like I got into it totally accidentally. So yeah, I did the Instagram for that sort of thing, and it sort of documents like a bit of my work and what I do, and maybe even like see a bit of improvement for myself in like what I do, and because obviously we're starting basically from scratch with our tools and stuff we all got very recently. So I wanted to see how that sort of builds up as well. And then I sort of started getting brands that were like reaching out to me. I years ago I had reached out to Stein, which is the brand who I'm now an ambassador for.
Okay.
About 2 years ago, I'd emailed them to say, I noticed there was like not many women in their catalogues or anything like that. I always looking through the catalogues for new stuff and that.
It's like the
And
new
I always
Argos book,
noticed-
innit?
Yeah. And I always notice if there's no women in, it's like it's like a major like, you know, it sticks in my brain, or maybe on the websites if there's no women on the, I don't know, it bothers me a little bit if there's anything like that. And I'd emailed them to say, do you need any like models but I meant like because I'm a tree surgeon, I'm actually doing it, you know what I mean, instead of like somebody just posing or whatever, like so I said, do you need any models for your catalogs or anything? They said, do you have an Instagram? And I didn't 2 years ago, so I was like, oh no. And that was that trail gone cold sort of thing. And then when I started this Instagram and I started getting followers about 1,000 a month, which I was incredibly like impressed at. I couldn't believe. So a couple of months in, they'd message me to say, I think it was like early December or something, they'd message me to say like we had spoke 2 years ago on email, and would you want to collaborate in future? And I was like, yeah, like absolutely.
Wow.
I use it, and I've used their stuff forever, by the way. This is not like me selling myself out for a brand or anything, because I genuinely Have you the very first high vis I got when I started and I was working at the garden centre, the first high vis I got was a Stein high vis. The
There you
first
go.
boots I got were Stein boots. All the work gear we used was always Stein. The rope bags we had was Stein. And so the whole reason why I'd reached out to them in the first place, because I genuinely used their stuff and enjoyed using it. So yeah, and I was blown away by the fact that they wanted to work with me. Couldn't believe my luck. And then they sort of said, what do you want sending out? And I'd never had anything like that, like on that sort of scale before. So I was like, I said, as long as you put some neck buffs in there, like some neck scarf things in, I said, I'll be happy. And that's basically like, I left it at that because I didn't know sort of what they were wanting to give away. I thought, I'll just leave it up to you. Anyway, we were blown away. On my Instagram, there's a video of me unboxing all the stuff. And they got my sizes, but also my partner's sizes. So there's two of everything. There's two climbing bags, two lots of waterproof jackets, two lots of chainsaw trousers, one set of boots because the 5 wasn't in stock. So they're going to send me my set of boots eventually. But that's what I mean about the problem with women's sizes. They sent me all sorts of stuff, 2 helmets, loads of, like 8 carabiners, like 12 neck buffs and stuff. I could at a scale I've never even seen before, like rigging gear and stuff.
Wow.
I could not believe my luck, to be honest. I could have cried. I was so over the moon with everything that I got. And that was opened on Christmas Day. It got delivered on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
And so I went to my mum's for Christmas Day and it was there. So it was like a bit of a Christmas present, which was really nice.
That's so cool. And the fact that they came back to you after 2 years is incredible. Like, fair play to them for remembering and reconnecting with you. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, they found me. So when I had the Instagram, I sort of didn't want to push too much on anything like that when I started. I wasn't doing it as like a business of brand collaborations or anything, so I didn't really bother. And they reached out to me, and I thought this is like amazing that this is even happening. I like pinch myself all the time, like when I put my chainsaw trousers on. I'm like, they were free. I like put my jacket on and stuff. I walk the dog in my jacket, and it's
Don't blame you.
It's bright orange, by the way, like
Is
like
it?
a luminous orange, and I don't even care because I just love it so much.
That's so cool. And it's really good that you love the brand so much as well.
Yeah.
Like, to me,
Yeah.
that is something that's quite important if you work with a brand. That in my personal opinion, nothing against anybody that doesn't agree with this, is that you have to have a passion about what they produce and you have to like what they produce or even use it, you know. So love that.
Well, I didn't know this until I became an ambassador, but and they didn't tell me this, I found this out on my own. There's a disaster arborist, it's called DART. I don't exactly know what it stands for, but there's it's volunteer arborists that go to places where there's been forest fires or like devastation with trees, and they fly them out and they make sure everything's safe for people, and they actually donate all the kit to that charity. So all the climbing gear, I think it's more like felling stuff, but all the safety gear, PPE, everything is donated by Stein, which I didn't realise, but I'm very happy that they do stuff like that because it makes me feel like I'm on the right side, if you know what I mean. That the people I'm supporting are doing good, and I like that. The people I've spoke to as well from Stein are like really, really nice and really like genuine, and I really don't feel like maybe people thought I was when they saw me unboxed and all that stuff, but I really don't feel like I'm just selling myself out or anything like that because I've used their gear for so long. And I'm actually really conscious with people I work for that it doesn't come across like I wouldn't work with somebody that I wouldn't use, basically.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important to like stick with. And I've always got that in the forefront of my mind. Like if someone says, well, the only other 2 brands that have wanted to work with me are a doggy earmuff company, which was really cute. And then so Atlas had a pair of earmuffs on at work. So that was Atlas's little brand collaboration. And then there's a guy who is a tree surgeon, and he made his own clothesline brand, all inspired by London playing and stuff. So I've got one of their bodysuits on at the moment. So it's London playing clothing, and I think that's super cool, like nature inspired clothing, and so everything that I support, I actually like have like a lot of love for. It's not
No, that's
tasteless.
amazing. No, I love
Yeah.
that. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you on that for sure. And you've just mentioned Atlas again. Tell the listeners who Atlas is and where you found him.
So Atlas is our little, well, not so little, very big dog. We found him. We were in Morocco traveling. The 9 months we were away, we went to Morocco, Spain, and France, and we, after a month being in Morocco, found this tiny little 5-week-old puppy on his own, limping, had like all like snotty nose and looked really like infected. And obviously, I just wanted to take it home. It looked like so scabby and horrible. And anyway, we were like, we're gonna have to take him because the people who were in the village were like, "Oh, just leave him. Don't like why would you want to take him?" But there was loads of street dogs. This is not like we took a street dog from a pack or anything. We
Okay.
saw there was loads of street dogs in packs who were just happy as they were, you know what I mean? Totally fine. He was on his own, no mum, no other puppies, nothing. And I was like, he's literally not gonna, not to be dramatic, but he's not gonna survive on his own. Like, he was so small. We ended up milk feeding him for them first couple of days and stuff because I had never had a dog before, let alone a puppy or anything. So we were feeding it cow's milk, which I've been told was a terrible idea and that dogs can be allergic to cow's milk. But he was fine, and he is still fine. So we took him. We were headed to Ouarzazate we were going from Marrakesh to Ouarzazate, and by total fluke, we took this road called the RN23 because it's my partner's lucky number.
Okay.
So we actually went probably about 100 miles out the way to go on this road. And it was on that road we found Atlas in the Atlas Mountains. And we took him to Ouarzazate with us. He went on the kayaks with us and everything at the lake, and it was like really cool. But we were actually fully on the fence on whether or not we were going to keep him. We were going to either find someone who would take him. We had like a lot of friends who were rescuing puppies and stuff. We were going to either give him away or something. We were going to find him a nice home and that, but we just could not. Everything we read was saying that it would be 5-6 months before we could take him home, and we were only supposed to be in Morocco for 3, so we just couldn't do it. So we went to then Agadir because the main vets and everything are in Agadir, and we spoke to our friends who were rescuing dogs and stuff, and they said, "Oh, there's this guy from the Jersey Islands who might want him. He's looking for a puppy." Met this guy Sandy from the Jersey Islands, and I said, "Oh, like, well, you take this puppy, like, we've just found him." We'd spent 2 nights in Ouarzazate with him, and he was stayed in our camper with us, and we'd put towels all over the bed, just in case he had like an accident or anything through the night. He's 5 weeks old. Anyway, about 2 o'clock in the morning, he stood on my partner's chest going, "Oof, oof, oof," like waking him up. So we woke him up, put him outside. He had a wee and a poo. Put him back in, went straight back to sleep, and we were like, "Oh my god, this dog is unbelievable."
What a guy.
What a guy. Yeah, exactly. So we said all this to Sandy, and we were like, "Oh, you're gonna have to take him." But I had bonded really heavily. We'd named him, you know what I mean? Like, you can't name a dog and then give it away. And then Sandy said, "I said, I can't afford to stay here, just end of. I can't afford vet bills. We can't afford any, like, we just can't do it. We were supposed to be here 3 months, and like now it's looking like we have to be here for 6. And Sandy was like, "Well, how much are the vet bills?" And we were like, "Oh, I think it's going to be about £400 in vet bills. And then obviously it's food and everything else." And he went, "Well, I'll transfer you £400 now. What's your bank details?" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "I'm
Wow.
sponsoring this dog." He said he'd sold a house in the Jersey Islands. And he said, if 2 lawyers can spend a ridiculous amount of money on a house in the Jersey Islands, then £400 of it can go to a dog. So Atlas has sponsored all his vet bills. Well, it far exceeded 400. It ended up being more like 800 in the end. But it was a grand help and made us keep him. And it was sort of the sign we needed that like to keep him, if you know what I mean. And we did. And he's the cutest little feral ball of fluff ever. He's crazy. He comes to work with us every single day when we go to work, and I've just put a video out of him helping us like work and stuff,
Oh,
and
I saw that.
he's
Yeah, with the
always
rake.
helping.
What a
Yeah,
guy.
well, there was that, but there was another one, and like he wants to do everything with you. If you move a branch, he's
Oh.
hung on to the end of the branch, moving it with you. If you're trying to unhook something from the trees, he's holding on to the bottom of the hook and stuff. Or
Oh, I
there's a
love it.
really funny one, and my partner's trying to spool the rope up. And he's literally just doing it over Atlas's back because he was in the way. And Atlas has got like literally like the whole coil of rope over his back, and he's just stood perfectly still. He's class.
Oh, he
He's
loves
brilliant.
it.
Yeah, he's 11 months now, but yeah, his birthday is actually on the 15th of February, so there's going to be a whole
Oh,
party and everything
wow.
for him.
Oh, I love that.
But
He is super cute. For anybody that wants to see him, you need to go to Holly's
yeah,
Instagram and have a look because he's adorable,
he,
especially with his ear defenders on.
yeah, he's literally the cutest thing ever. He's like beagle coloured, looks a bit like a Labrador crossed with like a greyhound or something, but we have no idea what he is. So he's just Atlas, and everyone goes, "Oh, what breed is he?" And we're like, "I don't have a clue." You know what I
Don't
mean?
know.
I don't care. I want to do a DNA test or something for him one day, but I honestly, he's just like ours. You know what I mean? He's so
Yeah.
sweet, and we still live in the camper that we travelled in and stuff, and
Do
he's
ya?
well, it's a new one, but we still live in a camper. But we did a new one up and stuff, and it's a little bit bigger. And he just absolutely loves it. It's like he's always just sprawled out. There's a photo I put on the other day, and he was like stood on the like sofa cushions down into his food bowl, so he was like doing downward dog eating, and I was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Put your feet on the ground." Crazy dog. He's so cute though.
Amazing. What a guy. What a guy. Pre-record, we had a little chat over email, and you mentioned that you're also going to be part of the Harrogate Flower Show this year.
Yeah, I think I'm allowed to say. I don't know.
If we're not,
It's you.
it's
No,
fine.
well, I had a lovely lady reach out to me to say that they do like a section called the Human Gardener or something. And I'm not a gardener, but they do loads of like outdoor like workmen and stuff like who work in nature. And they wanted me to sort of do something similar to this, just have a little talk about how I got into it and that sort of thing. But I've never been
Wow.
invited to anything crazy like that before, and I'm really excited. And they said Atlas can come, and
Oh,
so
amazing.
yeah, that's at Harrogate Flower Show. I think it's the 26th of April, but I'll have to check. But
Okay.
yeah,
So not long then, not long, couple
not
of
long.
months.
Yeah,
Hopefully the weather will be a bit better by then.
yeah, I know. There's a thing that said it had rained every single day of 2026. I read the other day in England, it had rained
Oh,
every single day.
so
And I
depressing.
can believe it. I
Yeah.
literally feel like it's rained every single day.
Yeah. Actually, on that topic, I was going to ask, how does the weather impact your business and working?
So usually it doesn't like change too much. I mean, if
Okay.
it's torrential, like if it's really, really, really bad all day and it's not going to let up, like we might stop. Like we've worked in snow, we've worked in ice,
Okay.
we've worked in all sorts. Like I've just had a job cancel on me next week because it's supposed to be -1, and they cancel because they dread that like it can damage the hedge, which I never look at the weather on purpose because I can't depress myself for knowing what the future holds. I'd rather just assume it's going to be rain, and if it's going to be sun, I'll get happy about it. It's pointless looking at the weather. It's like a sadness prediction
Isn't
thing.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather just not know. So it sort of impacts everything a little bit. I think summer is the hardest though, I'm not going to lie. Like
Yeah.
if it's really, when we get like those random 30-degree days in summer, I got heat stroke a couple of years back, really, really, really bad.
Oh gosh.
I had it was a t-shirt, but it was like one of those like thermal compression t-shirts.
Okay.
But I didn't sort of think like it's thermal, you know what I mean? And then chainsaw trousers are like 16 layers of Kevlar, and that's what's protective of them. Like it's, even though I was in a t-shirt and trousers, it still seemed to get to me like really, really bad. And I ended up like throwing up everything, like water, everything
Oh.
for a couple of days. So that was really, really bad. We didn't know if I had to go to A&E or anything because I was
Yeah.
like genuinely, I was saying I was freezing, trying to put covers over me and stuff. And my like partner was like, "You're like a million degrees. Like you need to not be putting covers over you." But yeah, that was scary. That is my biggest fear of like summer and stuff. So
Okay.
since then, I'm a lot more careful when it comes to, you know, keeping hydrated and trying to keep out the sun and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow. Yeah, that is quite scary. I've had sunstroke before, but as you do sometimes when you're on holiday, you sit in the sun too long, or you have that little 15-minute nap in the sun and you're suddenly roasted. And yeah,
yeah,
it's not nice when you have the whole shivery but hot kind of
yeah,
feeling.
I know it's awful.
We've come to the point where I like to do a quick fire question round. Are you up for
Right.
it?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. So it's a bit of this or that. So I'm sure the first one is very easy. Dogs or cats?
You know, I had a cat all my life growing up, and I was always a cat person. And then I got Atlas, and now I'm probably a dog person. But I like them both, but dogs maybe.
Okay, okay. Hedge trimming or tree felling?
I said I like a good hedge, but there is something about felling that's like probably felling. There's something really satisfying about felling.
Cool. Tea or coffee?
Coffee all the way. I can't drink tea. Makes me sick.
Ugh, I've never drank normal tea. Like, I just, no, I don't get it.
I can get away with like a mint tea or something.
Yeah,
It's just I can't do like I was sick once off it and it's put me off for life. Like yeah, I have either black coffee if I'm at customers because I don't drink milk.
yeah.
But when I'm at home, I have oat milk and syrup and all sorts. It's like the most like toddler coffee ever in the world when I'm at home. But when I'm at work, I'm like I'll have a black coffee and they're like ooh, and I'm like no, it's just because I don't drink milk.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we won't go into the whole milk saga, just give it me black.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Brilliant. Shears or a chainsaw?
Oh, chainsaw.
Of
Yeah.
course. An adventure holiday or a beach holiday?
Adventure holiday. We had the best adventure holiday. Can't get better than that.
Epic, epic. Driver or passenger?
I'm like always a passenger, and my partner usually drives like to work and stuff. I really enjoy driving, but I've got like a death trap of a Suzuki Jimny, that wants to kill me every time I get on a motorway. So I'm like
Oh,
terrified. It's the only car I'm insured on, so I'm terrified of going on a motorway in that because it just wants to kill me. So probably a passenger, like purely for the fear of life.
okay. That is fair. And final one, Morocco or Spain?
Morocco, all the
Yeah.
way.
Did you love
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, Spain was great, and I actually like them both for the same reasons because every hour that you drive, you could be in a new continent, like almost. So like you go in the desert, but then just out of the desert, there's like palm forests and
Oh
stuff, and then
wow.
just out of that, there's like mountains, and you feel like you're in a totally different place. Then there's gorges, then there's like there's the Atlantic and there's the Mediterranean like
Yeah.
coast. So even just either sea feels like a totally different vibe. It's yeah, but Spain was sort of a bit like that. Like every time you drove, you felt like you were a bit somewhere different. But the Moroccans are so hospitable and they just want to help
Okay.
you in every way that they can. That like Europeans just can't match with, I'm afraid.
Oh, that's lovely. That's really nice. Now, I always ask all my guests three last questions. And the first one is, if you could be any other trade, what would you choose and why?
I'm actually really firm on this one because I had a go the other day. I was saying before we came on that my grandma's having a bungalow done up. Anyway, I was speaking to the plasterers in the bungalow because they had the heater. I was working in like -2 outside in the back garden, and they had the heaters blasting. They were both in shorts. I was like, what the heck? Like, I need to become a plasterer in the winter. So I said to them, like, give us a go. And they were like, we've never like had someone random like try, and I was like, oh, give it a go. So there's a video of me like plastering terribly, by the way. I got better than the video, but yeah, and I was having a little go at plastering. I was like, that's probably the one. I said it's like icing a cake. They didn't appreciate that because I thought the job was more manly than that. But I was like, no, it's like icing a cake. Yeah, and probably that purely for being indoors in heat. I'm terrible with woodworking and stuff. I probably couldn't do anything like that. Electricians, I don't like power because we can work around power cables and stuff, and it terrifies the life out of me.
Yeah.
Like plumbers, I don't think I could cope with like some of the smells that plumbers have to smell. Painter and decorator, I like haphazard. I'm too like heavy-handed probably for that. Yeah, probably plastering, but I suppose the heavy-handed thing again, just for the warmth.
Fair play. No, plastering does appeal to me. I think it's the smoothing of it all. Make
Yeah,
it smooth
yeah.
and nice. Yeah, I like that.
It's like hedge cutting. I was saying this to them, it's like
Yeah.
hedge cutting, and they were like, and I was like, no, like it really is. Like that idea of trying to get like a smooth edge and trying to get all the bevels and stuff out. And yeah, I definitely plastering. What would you do?
I've always said that I would probably choose carpentry.
All right.
There's something about the creativeness and the angles and just working with wood that appeals to me. I like the naturalness of working with wood effectively.
Yeah.
Uh,
Does tree work not appeal to you?
I mean, maybe, yeah. I don't quite know how I am with heights, you see. That's the only thing.
The interesting thing is, pretty much every tree surgeon I know hates heights.
Really?
Well, like hates, we all have this same agreement of ladders terrify the hell out of us. We've
Yeah.
probably all fell off ladders at some point. I don't like anything man-made, any man-made structure. If I was on scaffolding, if I was on, like those glass floors in like fancy buildings and stuff, I can't walk on them. I am terrified of heights of man-made structures. When you're in a tree, you know the tree, like, that sounds a bit cringe, but you know the tree and you trust your ropes and you're in charge of your life is in your own hands. But like when I'm on like man-made structures and stuff, I'm like, my life is in the hands of whoever made this, you know what I mean? And that panics me.
Yeah.
Whereas the trees, you've got like, it can be quite black and white with trees if they're safe or not. I mean, there's a lot more to it as well, but there's something about being able to trust your own rope harness, your anchor and stuff, and trust that you've done it all right. And it's all in your hands. It feels a little bit better, I think. So yeah, the heights thing is, I hate any heights unless it's up a tree.
It's a really clever way of looking at it, that actually, trying to trust a man-made structure, because thinking of it, I don't like ladders, and
No.
if I can find a way of working without a ladder, then I will. And I'm pretty sure 99.9% of the decorators out there have balanced on something at the top of a stairwell that they shouldn't have balanced on, but they have done because they trust themselves. Whereas I don't like going up ladders really high because I just don't trust the ladder. So you've just nailed it there. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, ladders have the
Oh,
place
yeah.
and everything,
Yeah.
but I've seen far too many. I caught my boss falling off ladders. Like,
Oh
I
my
literally
God.
I caught the ladders and him, and then propped him back up. Because we're always on uneven ground. Like,
Yeah.
at least sort of in a house, I suppose, like, you kind of hope the floor's flat and stuff, whereas we're always just on uneven ground, so the likelihood of it flipping, and you've usually got a hedge cutter or a chainsaw in your hand, it's not great. Whereas when you're in a tree, you know yourself, you know what I mean, you know what you can do, and
Yeah.
the trust of yourself, maybe.
I like that. I remember you saying that when I'm up a ladder next.
You might find rope and harness might be less like intimidating.
Yeah, it sounds like it anyway, definitely. And my next question is, what trade or who do you think I should have on the show next?
Oh, that's a good one. Go for someone still outdoors who's not like your typical, I don't know, like bricky plumber, electrician. I always think like that. house building trades what you think of when you think of trades, or at
Yeah,
least I do.
yeah.
Um, like there's plenty of us who work maybe like something like a landscape or a groundsworks or
Ooh,
something like that. Someone like on a digger or something like that, maybe.
yeah.
I really like it. Would you ever do like somebody who was in farming? I know that's not strictly maybe a trade, but I would see a lot that what people do on farms is like a trade.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. I'm open to it. I think obviously farming is a very physical
Yeah,
environment. So, and you've obviously got to work with machinery and things like
yeah.
that. Yeah, why not? Let's
Why
open
not?
it up.
Do something outdoors. That's what I want. I can't watch people be inside and living my dream life. I'd rather watch people miserable outside.
I'm sure we can find somebody. Absolutely. Brilliant. Now, Holly, where can people find you on social media?
So my Instagram and pretty much anything else is Hollywood_trees. That's my Instagram.
Awesome. All right. I will make sure that your links and everything are in the show notes for people to click on and follow you and see
Thank you.
little, well, not so little Atlas now, but
No.
yeah. But I've thoroughly enjoyed learning more about your craft and learning more about you today. So I really appreciate you giving me your time. So thank you
No,
very
thank you
much.
for yours as well.
You're welcome. And yeah, stay in touch. I'd love to follow more of your journey. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, don't go yet. I just want to say a quick thank you for listening to this episode. And if you want to hear more from awesome tradeswomen, don't forget to drop me a like or a follow so you don't miss out on future episodes. See you next time on Life of a Female Tradie.